Yeah. And just as a constant reminder, these meetings are recorded, they are put on the internet. So please don't say anything stupid because you're likely to regret that. And I don't like regret in life on anything. We all have it, but hopefully we can avoid that. So, lead scoring. Who wants to have a guess on what lead scoring is? Terry Robeson, what do you think lead scoring is?
It's like bowling. When you knock over a pin, you score.
Okay, great. So like, it's fairly obvious. That's great. So uh, if you had a scale of 1 to 100, one being that it's a family that just moved in, they've got kids that just started school, and there's no bloody way they're going to leave the house, versus 100, where the home was owned by a single owner for 50 years, that person just passed away, and the kids are dying to take care of that person's matters. Okay, that's the lead score. 1 is never going to move. 100 is going to move. Um, some people do it between 1 and 10, 1 and 20. I'm saying 1 and 100 because then we could actually get a real average here to talk about the probability of somebody actually going to sell. Does that make sense? I want to go very slowly here to make sure that that makes sense. Okay, so Terry, your latest deal, without giving us the name or too much details on it, where did you get them from? Who were they?
It's a referral from a agent in Florida, actually, a manager in Florida.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So fantastic stuff. Let's talk about the characteristics of that client. What exactly has led to their purchase or sale?
They are wanting to get their children into a neighborhood that's more appropriate, applicable to their lifestyle. They need more space. They don't necessarily
Okay.
know the Brooklyn the way that I do, but
So
money
slow,
does.
slow down, cowboy. Slow down, cowboy.
Oh,
We're gonna get Daniel to take some of the sound. Daniel, do me a favor. Can you take a couple notes here? I know we've got the autopilot on as well, but so he just hit the C word, children, children, big factor. It
yes,
also timing with those children matter, right?
very
Okay,
much
so just
so.
note children slash timing. Go on, Terry. You could explain a little bit more if there was anything more to say.
Well, the children is the mitigating factor here in that school is starting right after Labor Day. So we obviously are not going to be able to get them into anywhere for a couple of months until it takes about 2 months to buy a condo, 3 months to buy a co-op in New York City. So
Okay.
that was first and foremost, I'd embrace them for this is not a rental. This takes time, unlike Florida, where things happen, you can close on things quicker. So they're braced for that. They know that this is last minute. Things had fallen through on something else, so they were pointed to me because I have a reputation for getting these things taken care of.
Good. Well, and we love that reputation. So great. We did the first thing from Terry was children. What is something else? Somebody else give me something. Something else that is it could be common. Again, we could I don't want to give it away. All of you know this stuff. Come on. Greg, the last deal that you did, what was the driving factor? Greg Coggins, and please tell everyone who you are and where you are. And you got to unmute. There you go.
Greg Coggins, Charleston, South Carolina, and the driving factor for the last deal that I did was relocation, but before that was marriage.
Marriage entering into or exiting from?
The last one was entering into, but I had one kind of simultaneously that was exiting from.
Okay. So going back to that, if we had to score it on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being impossible and 100 being highly likely, a divorce, how would you score that?
Highly likely.
Okay. So let's, for now, just for mathematical purposes, let's keep it at 90. Guys, there's a reason behind this. We're not going to go endlessly into this, and you can make whatever you want out of it or not. Again, this is just something that I think we really routinely do this, but I don't know if we've ever really put a true methodology behind it. Terry, your children thing, now it is September. They've already missed the opening of school. So how would you score those people?
Well, these are high numbers. They have to move, so
Okay.
I high 80s, low 90s. Where they move
Okay.
to that's the thing.
Product type as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because their expectations of what they want versus what they can actually afford are two different things. Brooklyn is a
Okay.
huge place. You can get something for your price point, but will it be the school district that you want it to be in? Or do you have
Sure.
you imagine you can live in Brooklyn Heights and walk on the promenade and send your kids to a private school for it's a decent amount of money that they can afford, but you can't have that life in Brooklyn at that price point.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Listen, we've got that. I don't know if Samantha's here, but we've got someone who he's got two kids, but yet he wants to be on the beach in Del Rey. Well, that doesn't, if you want the kids in the school and you want enough space, sometimes there's a conflict, and usually the kids win. That's in my experience. Unless the father's like the asshole of the century, then usually the kids win. Did they get a chuckle? Okay, got a little bit of something, and that's entirely possible, by the way. Um, let's go on to another thing. Daniela, can I pick on you? Maybe.
Of course.
Of course. Can you tell everyone who you are and where you are?
Daniela Pagani. I am licensed in Chicago and also Key Biscayne area of Florida.
Great. So some recent deals. What do you think is worth noting of what's been scored, or what you mentally kind of either valued or subsequently rejected, looked at it's not the highest score?
I'll talk about two new listings. One is longtime clients of mine that live in Mexico. I'm from Mexico City, by the way. And they've had this condo rented for years, and now they're selling to purchase something bigger. And another one, interestingly, I had a listing, I sold it. The buyers who purchased it hired me to sell their condo.
Okay. So, but when they wanted something bigger, I think bigger is a great example because we get that a lot. That's interesting. On a scale of 1 to 100, I would think that that's probably certainly less than the divorce, and certainly less than kids going to school. How would you score somebody's need for a larger place?
Well, it was,
Or their need.
just to give you a little bit of background, it was, their, it's an investment property, and they came across additional capital, and it was either buying another smaller unit or buying something bigger. And when we ran the numbers, the overall, the net, it was just gonna be an overall better outcome for them to sell and get something larger because their profit was going to be higher.
Let me ask you this: was it a 1041 exchange?
No.
Okay. So whether they purchased immediately or not, there wasn't any. I mean, it seems like a fairly low score in this instance. Now, again,
Correct.
unless you're okay. So larger. What can we make that about a 35?
Yes.
Again, this is just theoretical at this point. I'm glad that you brought up investment, though. 1031 exchanges. Who's done a 1031 exchange before? And who knows what it? Okay, anybody else aside from Terry? Me, Terry, anyone? Okay, so 1031. This is in the federal law, which allows you to do a tax swap between properties. Unlike most people think that this applies to residential real estate, your primary residence. Wrong. It does not. It applies to investment property. So if you have a rental unit and you decide that you could sell that rental unit, you could have a certain amount of time to identify the second property that you're going to buy, and then a certain amount of time to close on that property where you roll all the profits into that property. Let me ask you this. Sounds like a 1031 exchange, if someone's going to do it, is fairly high on the lead score, right? Okay, if there's nothing else that you get from it, because I can go on with all the analytics, and a lot of you say that I confuse you with numbers, and I'm sorry if that's the case. But on the very basic level, if you start to think this way, you could begin to realize that not all clients are made the same. And sometimes the sale comes from out of absolutely nowhere. An estate that when somebody passes on, at least in my community, a deal will almost certainly happen. Somebody will get the deal. Damn it, I want Dina and me and Samantha to get that deal. And I want you to get that deal too. Okay, that's why when my mom died, I got no less than 6 calls from different brokers. Hello, Edmund Bogan, this is Barbara so-and-so with so-and-so brokerage. I'm so sorry that you lost your mother. Literally, that was her voice. You know, I could sell her apartment. It's going to be no problem. I'm like, oh, really? You know, the place flooded out. Is that okay? Oh, no problem. I know a great commercial cleaner. Annoying as hell. But now, this is many, many years later, as an agent, I could tell you I know why they're going to make those calls. And I know why people are always going after divorces. But the question that I've got for you is, what other indicators are there where you could tap in and take a look at a greater probability of a sale? We know about death, we know about divorce, we know about financial gain, financial loss. We're talking about the children thing. You know, Samantha, Dina, and I are thinking about season because we're in Florida, where a lot of people come down for season. But this will drive your deals. Terry, you're really deep in thought here. I have to pick on you here. What's going on?
The thinker. I'm the thinker.
You are the thinker. Yeah, you're Rodin here.
Let's think of children at the other end of the age spectrum. Mom and dad have 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house that's just getting to be too much for them, and they don't need it anymore. Telltale signs: the yard is not as kept as it used to be. They don't decorate, you know, a lot of neighborhoods decorate the house for the holidays, Christmas lights, or, you know, whatever. If they're not doing that anymore, it may be a little too much for them, and it's time for them to downsize.
Sure.
So that's,
I would,
you know, I'm sorry?
I would say sorry to interrupt. I would say tracking voter registration records. Indicator that people are going off to college, or kids are going off to college.
Daniela, this, you know, every meeting somebody brings up a little nugget of wisdom that I didn't even think about, and this very well may be that. Expand on that. What have you done with voter records?
I personally have not done anything, but I've been, you know, it has come up before. But if you track it, it's just an indication that kids are going off to college, which inevitably means parents will have to downsize eventually.
Sure. Okay, so that's definitely a tell.
But to point your number, to use your 1 to 100 point system here, Edmund, I think this is maybe like a 50 to 60. You know, they could live there, you know, who cares? Maybe dad doesn't care if the yard doesn't look as pristine as it used to. You know, they're comfortable, but it's still worth getting. I mean, I send out a mailing like every 3 months to my list of people in my neighborhood that I feel qualify for these folks. And nothing has come of it yet, but who knows, you know?
Look, you may not need 100 data points. That's the other thing. What you're going to do, let me explain what you're going to do with all of this. You're going to take all the data points of these individuals and put them in, and we're going to find out, again, I'll be speaking with Daniel about this a little bit later as well, about downloading some of this critical data on people. You know, there's information and information services that have that. So if you're able to download and get that information from the web, you're then going to be able to upload that based on the criteria that you have into something like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or one of these tools, and say, can you score based on this information? So let's talk about where some of that data actually comes from. Who's actually been a data purchaser in the past? Anyone? Nobody. Okay. Yeah. Dina, you look like you were going to say something. No,
we've done the oh my gosh, what is the word where we searched in a neighborhood?
Circle prospect.
What?
Circle prospect. Oh, skip tracing?
Skip tracing, which is sort of by, I mean, it's gathering specific data that we want as opposed to somebody who gathered data that they thought we might want and then we buy it. So,
Sure.
I think it's a little different, but it's to me, it's more specific. It's what we actually needed. So,
Sure. What you're going to do is go to your area, wherever you may be. You're going to Google this, write this down, please. Critical demographic information. There's a lot of different services out there. And you're going to be able to, when you take a look at the various demographics and information, there is a variety of services. And again, I'm going to look them up and we'll have this in an email for you guys after. I'm kind of frozen over here. Where you're going to be able to mass check based on your scoring type. This could be age, by the way. That's a big factor. Although some people, I had a neighbor. Anyway, I'm going to digress for a second. Does anybody know the story about Madame Calment? Madame Calment, a fine, sophisticated French woman. This happened many, many years ago. True story, by the way. Madame Calment, and it's required real estate story, so please listen. She was a humble woman living in France. She was in her late 80s when the buyer of her building came to her and said, I want to buy your apartment. I'm going to hold it as a life estate. In other words, you're going to sell it to me at a discount and I'm going to allow you to live in it until you pass on. He was very clever, this investor, because he was able to buy it at a deep discount. She didn't care. She was going to keep the home and she could enjoy the money today, similar to a reverse mortgage. Does anybody know the story or no?
No.
Okay, it's a really good one. Madame Calment, and I want you to look it up. She went on to become the oldest living human on Earth and died at about 123 years old, 8 years after the landlord died broke. Okay, now, this is a true story. Again, I'd look it up. It's just really quite remarkable. At her 119th birthday, she was smoking a cigarette and eating a second piece of cake, and her doctor was there. He said, you really shouldn't have a second piece of cake. As if, she's made it to 119, right? Truly remarkable story. Great real estate story. It reminds us, and everyone said to me, I had a friend who was starting a fund to try and buy these older folks' homes. Free rent is a great elixir of life, guys. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. So sometimes based on this whole scoring thing, you could have thrown it out the window. So Google the story. It's a great real estate story. It's something that you could tell people. And what did you put in here?
What did you say,
yeah,
Madam?
great. Madam, just look at, now this isn't it. Madame Claude with French brothel keeper. Come on, Daniel, that's not the right one. No. We'll get the real one out to you in a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll get the story to you. Daniel's gonna crawl into his
Although
desk.
I kind of want to hear this story, quite frankly.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. Come on, we got to keep this PG-13 here. So so the scoring works. You're able to get this actual data, and I think it's really important. Let me just go on with a couple other things because I don't want to run out of time. Personality tests. When you're dealing with somebody, and this is going to be a much more individualized approach. When you're dealing with somebody, not the same pitch is going to work with the same person. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
That's right.
What I said was, when dealing with the different types of people, you have to make different approaches sometimes. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Agree.
Agreed. Anyone else?
Yes.
Avez-vous compris? Okay. Oh, look at that. Kenny waved hi. Dina waved hi. Brenda's here. Hey, Brenda.
Hi.
Okay. So terrific. Talk to me about the different personality types that you've worked with in your businesses as far as listings go. Before I default to Dina, who's had it all. We've had all kinds of personality types here. I don't want to just default to Dina. I'd love to get somebody new. Guys, don't be shy. It's an open forum. If anyone says anything insulting, I'll throw them out of the meeting. So please.
The micromanaging type?
Okay. Yay, Livette with the score. The micromanaging type. So you've dealt with some micromanagers.
Hmm?
And what would you do with a micromanager?
You just have to, you really have to be very communicative with them.
Mm.
And just kind of, and it's annoying, but every little update you get, you give it to them. Just kind of keep them in the loop because they're just one. I mean, it could be various reasons. Maybe they just don't trust agents, they had a bad experience, or that's just their personality type. So I'm dealing with one now, actually. And before she could even email me or call me, I'm constantly sending her updates. And what I'll say to her is, I'll reach out to you when I have another one. So that keeps her from calling me.
Okay. So thank you. Babette, I'm not done here because as you were talking, I decided to pull this up. Very simple thing for you to do with ChatGPT, and I know that's a big reason why you came here. Can you help me create a personality test so that I know the best way to approach a particular type of person? You can expand upon this. There's some other things in the chat that ChatGPT knows about. If you want to update that, can you help me create a personality test so that I know the best way to approach a particular type of real estate of person who owns a home, a listing, somebody who is a potential seller, a potential buyer, fill in the blanks, expand it with as much as you possibly can. And then it actually goes in and gives you all of the key things. Define the objective. What are the key personality traits? Decision-making style, communication style, risk tolerance. So you have all of these things when you're actually dealing with these folks. And Babette, I'm going to take some personality traits from you right now. Can I continue using you as an example?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me about, okay, I am dealing with, tell me about the person.
Her name is Teresa. She's a
Well,
no.
we don't need to, I'm gonna call her Jane. Yeah, I don't want to
Okay.
get you.
Well, that wasn't even her real
Okay.
name. I just, it was
Okay,
close.
it's funny thing is it's really Jane, but okay, go on.
She's a know-it-all. She's educated, thinks she's smarter than everyone. She's probably, I think, in her first kind of like supervisor management role. So she thinks it's her job to manage me. What else? Very, just kind of like snarky. She could be a little snarky. What else? Just, just the real be,
How old is she?
She's probably maybe mid-40s.
What does she do for a living?
Good,
She
thank
kind of well, she's on a board. She's on a board that was formed in my neighborhood to kind of put out quality housing, and they wanted people from the community. So she was able to get on this board, and she's not the head of it, but she's kind of like up there. And
Is she paid? It's a paid
oh
position?
yeah, she definitely is paid. I'm from the neighborhood too. Like I said,
But-
we don't really like each other. She wants to fire me, but she can't because they love me. And plus, I'm from
Well,
the neighborhood.
hold on. Who loves you?
The board. She just doesn't
Oh, the
like me.
board.
Yeah.
She doesn't like you. So you're working on behalf of the board?
Yes.
Got it.
And she's
Okay.
she's the main contact. We work together. Oh, she doesn't listen. What else?
Okay. So
She's considered more of a bully.
so I'm gonna say I am working on behalf of the board, and she does not like me. What else? Let's give
And you're
give some
right,
more
Kenny.
things here.
She is a little bit of a bully. She thinks she can bully me, and
Yeah.
she just thinks she's smarter than me. And but I'm like, boo, you don't do what I do. I do this 365 days a year. You only do it a couple times a year when you have projects. So
So she's on a board, so she wants some type of authority to be
right, exactly,
right?
exactly.
And she's is she analytical at all, do you think?
She tries to come, it's fake.
It's fake. She's not.
Really,
She's not that smart. She what else can I say?
Okay,
I
well,
mean,
Kenny, this is great, but Kenny, do you suppose that Levette's personality is going to matter here as well?
yeah, you're gonna have to, if you get into neurolinguistics, you got to look at, what you're bringing to the table, because, you know,
Absolutely.
you're projecting something too.
Right.
So, Livette, to do this properly, we should get 3 of your friends to describe you, not you describe you. You've got your own biases here, but for the purpose of this meeting, why don't you describe yourself
My friends would
and how
describe
you
me
work?
as a very straightforward, probably feisty person. But you know, I'm the type of person, I'm a go-to person in probably all my groups. I'm known for getting shit done, you know, standing on business, as the kids would say. um, I'm a very direct person. I don't let my clients run my business. You know, that's a big thing with me. I know they come in, I know a lot of agents get timid, especially, you know, when the money's on the line and they kind of don't know how to I don't want to say stand up to their clients. I have to let clients know, you know, I don't really work. We work together. Don't work for you. So you're not going to tell me how to do what I do every day. This is what I've been doing. And I am going to take your suggestions and I understand that. But however, I'm the expert here. And you know, why would you hire me if you're not going to listen to me, if you're not going to allow me to, you know, show you what I can do and the value that I provide.
So cool. But you know what, again, for the purpose of this meeting, I think all of you are basically seeing the mindset that you have to actually go into when you're in ChatGPT. And Livette, I thank you for sharing all of that. What I'm now going to say, here's the magic. Please create for me a multi-step process for dealing with this situation. Make suggestions for how I can speak with this person. Please make them short and to the point. How do I move this person to see things my way? We're being very self-centered here, I know, but I need to work with her, so take the long approach. Okay, so that's, you know, we actually said that we want a personality test. This thing's actually doing this, and let's see what it executes, which we may or may not like. Assess the situation. So recognize her behavior and her need for control stems from insecurity and a desire to prove herself in the new role. Stay calm and collected. Okay, this is fairly obvious stuff. Establish boundaries. Okay, so that's going to be here. Set clear expectations. Neutralize the snark. Okay, you were the one who said she was snarkiness. Acknowledge her knowledge, compliment her expertise. Just letting someone in here. You clearly have a deep understanding of this issue. Now, this is almost verbal jujitsu, because what you're really trying to do is acknowledge their intelligence. If she really has that need to prove the intelligence, that's what they're really doing. Redirect the focus, reframe the discussion, steer the conversation towards a shared goals or board's mission. I'll give you guys a great example of this. I've had clients come to me and they will say, you know, God damn it, I don't know why we've not gotten approval from this board yet. Why didn't you get this thing submitted right away? Notice that they actually put that on me. What I would do in that situation, what I'd have, is turn it around. We need to make that common enemy. So rather than make me the enemy, why don't we find every way possible to make the HOA that hasn't given that approval the enemy? Or I've got a situation right now where I found out that the letter of testamentary that from the state courts from this estate has not come through, and they may need to extend the close for a month. Didn't even tell Dina about this, or Samantha. So, you know, how are we going to actually do this? Well, this can't be my fault. And in fact, it isn't my fault. Too many of you take it on your own shoulders. But if you actually follow this along, you could now take this and do a role play. And we could even do this right now. If you had this going in here, based on this information, can you help me with a role play? Okay, you still with me, Livette?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely, we can role play with Jane. Scenario 1. I'm going to stop this. Hold on, I want to. I've reviewed the project plan. Frankly, I'm not impressed. I think we need to take a different direction. My approach would be far more effective. Okay, what's your response to that, Livette?
Hold on, let me read it. Is this, what am I reading here?
Okay, sorry. I've reviewed the project plan, and frankly, I'm not impressed. I think we need to take a different approach. My approach will be far more effective, and I expect you to follow it. Now you need to respond. And if I'm getting you angry with my thing, it's deliberate. I want you to be angry here because I need you to control that.
Okay, so Jane is the client. Okay.
Jane is this bad woman that you're answering to, the head of the
Right.
board.
I would say, well, Jane, thank you for that. And I definitely understand that, you know, you may have some concerns. And I would ask her, you know, more about her approach, listen to what her approach is. And just kind of, I guess, go from there, just depending maybe on her approach.
Good. Again, you're giving her the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds pretty good. Let's see what this actually says. Well, it's clear to me that we need to focus more on the community outreach aspect. The plan you've proposed is too technical and doesn't consider the public's perspective. My approach would integrate more public forums and feedback sessions before any decisions are made. I believe this will be better aligned with the board's commitment and transparency. We're not going to go back and forth too much with all this, but I want to share with all of you. And by the way, I do this before our meetings. I put these things together where I will brainstorm with an AI before these meetings, and now before you guys call up the psychiatrists with the white jackets to carry me away. This does work. This is something that you're able to actually get yourself mentally prepared for, and these tools actually work really, really well. One other thing I wanted to throw into this, well, I'm going to save that till I'm going to just, Daniel, remind me to talk about constant contact in a second, okay? Just because I'm old and I forget everything. You know, who else has actually used any of this, or who else is actually doing any types of role playing now? Nobody. Okay. It works, guys. It's one of those things that if you actually put this together and make a plan. I know that Andy role plays. Andy's been going to the daily role plays and have been participating in this. It's, you know, I went to a dentist to get a crown done. They said that they role play as dentists. Did you know that? That they actually study the tooth. It wasn't even a crown. It was a tooth replacement. And the guy it makes a digital avatar of my face, of my tooth. And he actually practices the insertion of the tooth in a role play. You know, if they could do it, why can't we as salespeople? I think it's really, really important to recognize that the same situations happen over and over and over again. And so many of us still come into a meeting. The time to think of an answer is not at that moment, I just assure you. So if you could come up with the answers before they're asked, you're going to be that much better off. You'll get a doozy every now and then that you weren't expecting. You know, sometimes you'll step in on inspection day and find that the spa is green, that somebody stopped paying the pool guy, and now you have to deal with a green hot tub. And by the way, Dean is smiling because we just had to deal with exactly that. Sometimes things will come, but the more you rehearse, the better off that you're going to be. Okay, one other point I want to make about lead scoring before we get to wants, needs, and brags is, and I left this out and I really don't think it should be left out, is this is my weekly email. Hopefully all of you get it. This is, you know, a great little picture of me and one of our properties, and you could see our forecast of what's going on, and all of this is great. All of these also by design have areas for people to click on. So if we take a look at the reporting and we take a look that we had a 49.6% open rate and a 5.1% click rate, which I think is great. I'm very happy with that. I could actually take a look at the clicks, but more importantly, I could take a look at the links. Okay, so if 47 people actually checked the market report, that's pretty interesting. But 45 of those people actually looked at my listing on Northway Circle. Now, those people need to be scored differently based on that. Don't you agree? If they actually are clicking, if someone, let me go back to you for a second here. If someone clicks, what's the value of my home? Don't you agree that they are going to be valued or scored differently than someone who did not? Because it's, to me, it's fairly obvious. They've actually indicated some type of interest. It is not a guarantee. Most people are at least somewhat curious about the value of their home. What I am saying, though, is that it puts them higher up on the score, and you're going to be able to make a greater decision based on that. So that's what I want all of you to think about and to do. We've got a variety of other stuff. Daniel, can you also put in this week's topic? We've got a meeting on Friday, right? We've got a meeting coming up on Friday. It's at 12 noon. We love to give the Californians a break. And we're going to talk, what is it, the commissions? Daniel? Yeah, navigating new commissions, landscape strategies for success post August 17th. I want to have a discussion about what's gone on. It's 11 days now since the world has changed. And I want to have a discussion. It's going to be 2 full weeks then. I want to have a discussion with everybody about how you're dealing with it, what's going on with clients, what's the approach to buyers, what role plays can you put into this, what can you actually do to get more listings? If you want to last, you need to list. So that's really, really important. Okay, wants, needs, and brags. Now it's a great time in the meeting where we love to find out what you want, what you need, and what you feel like bragging about, okay? I've already bragged about my kid. I bragged about, I'm trying to think about what else to brag about here. Dina, what do you have to brag about? She's got to figure out how to unmute.
My son got engaged, so that was exciting.
Hey!
Yay! That was exciting and surprising. He's very young, but he's mature and she's wonderful. So here's hoping.
That's good.
And we also closed on a deal that was trying at times, the one with the green hot tub. And we actually ended up getting the high, after 3 deals fell apart, we got the highest price ever for that model sold in that neighborhood. And I like to brag about that because, what was very interesting to me was that I post when we do sales in the neighborhood. Certainly, I wrote in the comment about, I posted, sold whatever this property, and I commented that we got the highest price ever for this model in this neighborhood. And I did my hashtag, get top dollar. And I got a lot of comments on it. And I had people who saw me the next day who said, really, you got the best price? Because there's somebody who's big in my neighborhood. I feel that she underprices houses in our neighborhood. She sells a lot of properties, but she underprices them, and nobody wants to feel like they sold low. So I was really proud of that sale.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you, and it was great working. It's always great working
Obviously.
with you on all of that. And Eitan, my partner who's in Europe, in Lisbon, he just put up in the chat. Eitan, is this people could use this to register for it, right? For Fridays?
Yeah, this is the community mastermind posting with the Zoom link.
Okay, so if you guys want to come to that, I'm sure
That's
we're
for
going to
you,
communicate
RSVP.
with you alternatively as well. But please, if you want to come, it's Friday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. That would be great. Who else wants, needs, and brags? I see it's real easy, and it's a great way for people to get to know you, Tony in Fort Lauderdale, maybe, or Bruno in Pennsylvania, I think, or no, PA. You're a realtor. Okay. Bruno, you could speak up. Tony, if you want. Calvin, John, Grateful. Come on, guys. Not that tough. No?
I'll
Maybe
speak
come
up.
right?
I was just seeing what this. I'm not sure what this was about. I just received an email, so I was checking it out.
Well, we're glad to have you, Calvin.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Could you hear me?
Okay.
Bruno?
Sure. Is that Bruno? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very quickly, I am 76 years old with a life plan up to 118. I am an active real estate. If I die before and I cannot let you know, please drink 2 glasses of champagne. I will be resting in peace.
Okay. So, well,
Okay.
but you're here today, and I'll drink the champagne to you right now. I want to celebrate life as we go on with it, but it's good to have you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Don't call me
today.
sir. Don't call me sir.
Okay.
Okay. I am a seasoned senior citizen.
Ah. Okay.
Only that.
Well, you only got me. You got me by 20 years, so it's I don't look at 76 as a senior citizen anymore. But respectfully, I won't call you sir. I'll just call you Bruno. I like the name, by the way. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else? Anything else? Okay, I'm not going to twist your arm here. I sincerely hope that you could make it. I sincerely hope that if you are curious about the one-on-one coaching, we integrate coaching with marketing, where Daniel and I meet with you one-on-one. We do it once a week. We're getting together. We're actually handling some of your emails and marketing and skip tracing and getting data together, as well as making a plan for your business. It's been working. My clients are great. I've got Andy here who's active. I've got a couple of you here who are active, but I can see Andy right now. So if you're curious about that, please do reach out to us. And I think Eitan put up a Calendly for you to book with me, which I would love for you to do. So it's a good 15-minute chat where I could tell you what it's all about. And Terry,
Yeah.
are you ready, Terry?
I am so ready.
Okay, this is the time in the meeting when I like to look at everyone and say, it sure is good to see all of you. I'm really glad that you made it today, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Friday for another exciting episode of
Rain Nation.
Fantastic. Don't ask me how that started, but somehow it's been a transition and we just love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
I hope to
Edmund.
see all of you on Friday. Thank you.
Have a great day.
See you. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Eitan. Take care.